Mr. Rudolf Perina, thank you for being here. I would like to discuss about Moldova and its 25 years of independence. So when you were appointed as an ambassador to the Republic of Moldova in 1998, how did you find our country, Moldovan people, and the country at its new stage of independence after serving in diplomatic missions in Moscow and in Berlin in the Soviet times?
We found wonderful, wonderful people in the country, people with whom we made friends and people with whom we are in contact to the present day. Very, very talented people. And I think that is what we enjoyed most of all during our stay.
What were the most challenging issues to be solved during your diplomatic service in Moldova, and how would you describe the reality of 2000 year compared to 2016? Do you think there are considerable changes that occurred during this period of time?
Well, I think some of the most challenging things we found at that time were a little different from the present ones. Moldova was a very young country then, and we were, to some extent, it was developing its basic structures of government, the Constitution. But a lot of the issues we worked on are still similar to issues that you have today, and I would say those are economic development, the issue of corruption in society, and then, of course, Transnistria. The United States was a major donor of foreign assistance at that time, relatively speaking, more than is given now. I think now the European Union has become a larger donor. Well, if we say 15 years since then, Moldova has come a long way in this respect. I would not consider it an isolated country now. It is, in some ways, it is in the middle of one of Europe's big crises at the moment. So it is hardly an isolated country. I think a lot of people know Moldova and know the problems of Moldova.
In 1989, right after the collapse of the Soviet Union, you served as director for European and Soviet affairs on a National Security Council. If we look back at the Transnistrian settlement, are you optimistic or pessimistic about its settlement?
Let me say, in the short term, it is difficult to be optimistic. In the short term, I think it's we are always hopeful, of course, and we are always working, but it will require a lot of effort on all sides, I think, to make some progress. Over the long term, I am relatively optimistic. I always thought that of the frozen conflicts which exist, and I worked as one time as the mediator for all of the major frozen conflicts for Nagorno-Karabakh, Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Transnistria. And I thought of those conflicts that Transnistria was probably the easiest to resolve. I think the current crisis with Ukraine and the increase of sort of tension in that entire part of the world has, of course, complicated the process of resolving Transnistria.
If we estimate the overall costs to maintain the status quo of Transnistria since 1991, what could have the mediators of the conflict done better to progress towards a political solution and real settlement of Transnistria?
There should have been greater effort on the part of the Transnistrians, and there should have been greater effort on the part of Russia, I think, to resolve the conflict. One of the keys to resolving Transnistria is to make Moldova an attractive country that the Transnistrian people wish to be part of. And I think over the long term that will happen, and that it will become more attractive. I think you saw something comparable in the two Germanys, of course. I mean, ultimately it was the economic success of West Germany which helped to make it more attractive to the people of East Germany. There were other factors, of course, but this is an important one.
What are the risks that frozen conflicts like Transnistria can emerge into aggressive military attacks that we witness in Crimea?
We have seen the conflicts in Georgia turn into a war. We have recently seen Nagorno-Karabakh. So the possibility is always there. But I somehow think in Moldova it is less of a possibility than in the other frozen conflicts, I think, because, in part, I think because the Moldovan people and the Moldovan government does have the correct attitude.
After the conflict in Crimea, the Ukrainian population show a more desire to join the military alliance NATO. Do you believe the picture of frozen conflicts such as Transnistria might change if Ukraine and other Eastern European countries decide to join NATO?
Moldova has in its constitution that it is a neutral country. And the United States certainly respects that and understands that, and has no intention of trying to change that in some respects. But a neutral country also means that one can work with partners around the world in a partnership. In the long term, it is its neutrality can help facilitate the resolution of the Transnistrian conflict. I think at this point, seeking NATO membership would be a new factor that would, I think, complicate this effort.
Since 25 years of Moldovan independence, in your opinion, what are the areas where our country progressed and what areas the Moldovan government could have done differently and not reaching a stage where immigration becomes a big problem?
25 years, unfortunately, is not actually a very long period in the whole scheme of things, in the way history works. Where Moldova started, I think there were sometimes exaggerated expectations of how quickly things could change and how quickly Moldova could develop, and how quickly we could see a rapid increase of economic development and so on. I think we as donors perhaps had exaggerated expectations there, and I think the Moldovan people certainly also had exaggerated expectations. You have the first generation assuming positions of power that was born and raised in an independent Moldova. Moldova must make a greater effort to deal with the corruption problem, and I think that would make a large difference in the attitude of people to the country and in Moldova's image of itself.
The agricultural type-based economy of Moldova has not changed much since 2000, and because of black market economy, its exports decreased in the last 2 years of political instability. What are the factors that need to happen so that Moldova can speed up reforms and use the opportunity of free trade agreement with the European Union?
Corruption undermines economic development. It discourages foreign investment. It scares away people who want to invest in Moldova and put money there. It is a very, very damaging thing, and so I would put fighting corruption at the top of the list.
How do you envision Moldova's future in the following 10 years? Where do you see our country on the map, and what are the chances to integrate European Union?
I don't want to say that it will be the Switzerland or the Belgium of southeastern Europe, But that is what I would like to see. And I think the potential is there because it has the people, and it could achieve that. I wish Moldova, the Moldovan people, I send them all best wishes on the occasion of their 25 years of independence. And I hope that they will see in the future the kind of economic development, progress, and success that all of us wish for the Republic of Moldova. The Republic of Moldova has many, many friends in the United States, of which I am proud to count myself as one. And we wish it all the best in the future.
Thank you for being a good friend to the Republic of Moldova, for your kindness and all the relationships that you have developed so far, and hope to see you in the future.